Okie dokie, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I am back, and it is time for another AlphaStar 1 versus 1 replay cast. Today we're going to be having ourselves AlphaStar playing Terran, taking on a Masters Protoss player. AlphaStar seems to be playing pretty well in the recent games I've cast as it plays Terran, but I think it's about to be getting the bejeebus cheesed out of it. So this could be an interesting build coming out of this Protoss player. Oh, is he gonna like proxy gate him, or is this gonna be a Max PAX? This is gonna be a Max PAX against AlphaStar. Oh my gosh, this is so sick. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that don't know, the Max PAX is a very strong build that kind of became popular really quickly, and it's not seen too much anymore. But I personally am still a big fan of it. I haven't seen enough games of it, in my opinion, so seeing a Masters Protoss do this against AlphaStar is awesome. I'm excited to see how the AI is going to handle a build like this, and yeah, this is just going to be a really fun one to watch. So the probe comes in, is going to start being a little bit of a joke, and then the Protoss player behind this is probably just going to go for an expansion, as you're supposed to do with this build. I do this build sometimes when I play Protoss and I'm feeling a little bit dirty. Basically what he's going to do is he's going to queue up his Nexus soon, and then he's going to chrono boost out a Zealot towards AlphaStar's side of the map. And the way that this works is that the Zealot's going to get out here super quickly, as AlphaStar is going to be trying to take an expansion, which if you're AlphaStar is absolutely no fun having to deal with a Zealot in your natural base, and the Protoss player behind this is just happily expanding. So this is such an awesome build to see AlphaStar going up against, how well it's going to handle such a precise build like this. Ladies and gentlemen, before this Zealot hits AlphaStar's naturals, hit that like button. Let's try and hit 1 like on this video for 1 Zealot. Now, we take a look here. The Zealot's going to charge right on in here. It's going to set to work on this SCV. As you do, the command center for AlphaStar is pretty much sacrificed at this point. But the problem for AlphaStar, it has to bring its Reaper back, but there's another Zealot on the way. There's a Cyber Core on the way, and the command center of AlphaStar is probably not going to be, getting finished. I mean, maybe it will get finished. The Zealot wants that SCV, and oh, the Zealot does get that SCV. That is really, really nice for the Masters player. The Zealot now going to chase away this Reaper as well, waiting for his buddy, for his Stalker friend. The Zealot has a Stalker to come out and help him. And then behind this, the Protoss player is just happily macroing up with 2 Nexus on his side of the map and minimal commitment to this cheese. The Marine and Reaper are on top of this gateway, but the Stalker is going to be able to shut down this Marine. AlphaStar has just resumed building its command center, but the Stalker should be able to put an end to that. So this is AlphaStar getting hit with a nice meta build, and AlphaStar is having a straight up bad time against this right now. So this is an awesome build to see. The Protoss player is going to be going up against AlphaStar's Reaper, but I'm pretty sure the response to this is that the Protoss player recalls one of their Stalkers, if I'm not mistaken, with this build, and there we go. This is perfect execution of the Max PAX build, I believe. And I might even go over this replay later for my own personal practice, but yeah, AlphaStar is just having a bad time, seeing as how its command center is being delayed so much. Sometimes this will just straight up get killed or canceled, but AlphaStar is kind of choosing to die on this hill, and it's actually really panicking here by building 3 bunkers. That's not what you need versus this build, because this build is a very minor commitment from the Protoss, and the Protoss player is going to have a very nice lead from this point on in the game. Just to macro up normally, and AlphaStar is going to be pretty far behind, I believe. The command center will get on up. The Protoss player, I think, might have cut a few probes here when maybe he could have been getting some more out. It also doesn't help that this Reaper is on a killing rampage. Somehow this Reaper has 5 kills. It's killed the 2 Zealots and the 3 probes. The shield battery will heal these probes, but this is actually a nice bit of damage getting done by AlphaStar to keep it in this game. Otherwise, it would definitely be behind more on the worker count. With the Cyclone coming out for AlphaStar, now this is actually looking quite alright for the AI. The Cyclone kills one of the Stalkers, but it's on its own now, so this Masters Protoss is going to micro as well as he can, but oh, the Reaper! The Glory Reaper comes from behind and is able to get the assassination on that Stalker, and that's actually going to make all the Stalkers that this Protoss player had dead, which is no good for the Protoss player. I mean, I was talking about how this was like a perfect build he was doing, But things seem to be falling apart a bit as he didn't take too many trades. I think he expected to get a little bit more damage done, and he just warped in a singular Stalker just for it to die. So maybe the Masters player overcommitting a little bit too much here. And now we do take a look. So 5 gateways are on the way for the Masters Protoss player. This is an odd amount, as it's going to put him up at 6 with the 1 proxy. There's a chance he's going to commit more into like mass stalkers. I personally think he should go for a 3rd base soon. Robo definitely also another fine option here, as you want those observers out. Potentially a warp prism too. Okay, I mean, AlphaStar definitely weathered this storm better than I thought it would be. AlphaStar, just no matter how bad of a situation it seems to be in, it seems that it always just comes out fine at the other end. It's just like, yeah, whatever, no biggie. Just I'm gonna keep building SCVs and then be fine. And at this point in the game, AlphaStar does seem fine here. Lots of Stalkers being warped in for this Protoss player, however. I don't think 6 is enough to attack on in here, as he's going to have to blink on top of the Siege Tank, which is there. Is he going to go for it? No, he's actually going to settle for killing the Cyclone, which I think was actually a very good response to this. The Shield Battery going to help defend versus his Banshee for a time. Probes will eventually die, particularly when the Shield Battery runs out of energy, though. And this Banshee has a lot of energy for cloaks, so this Protoss player needs to get out an Observer and needs to react to this quicker, because he's taken a ton of damage. And oh no, where'd all of his Stalkers go? Uh-oh. I think all of his Stalkers died. We're gonna actually rewind a little bit. I don't do this every game, but okay. So he gets that, and then we'll see what happens. The Banshee starts doing its thing, but then yeah, I think he makes a boo-boo with all of his Stalkers here. 2 Siege Tanks, a bunch of Stalkers without energy. Yeah, that does not go well for them. AlphaStar totally just cleaning house right now, dealing tons of counter damage, and also taking care of that attack. So AlphaStar it's just magic. This AI is just so good at the game. Even against like a cool build like the Max PAX, it's just laughing. AlphaStar, what a god. Not going to lose to some Masters Protoss player most likely at this point, because when AlphaStar has an economic lead, so far what I've seen is that the AI very rarely throws such a lead. And particularly right now, it seems to be in a great spot with bioproduction coming along the way. 2 bases, much better economy. And just, yeah, a great spot for AlphaStar. And oh, look at that, another Banshee comes into the main, but of course, there's one queued up to the natural because it's AlphaStar, and AlphaStar knows how to make a lot of Banshees. And so this Masters Protoss player right now is just hating life as they're going to lose more and more of these probes. Enough Stalkers will clean up this Banshee, but yeah, this is actually just really painful for the Protoss player. He doesn't really seem to have a game plan at this point, as he's not making charge, he's not getting +1, not going into any other tech, no 3rd base or something like that. And if he decides to commit on in here, I don't think it's going to work. There's 3 tanks for AlphaStar, a whack ton of Marines. Don't do it, Protoss friend. Don't do it. Don't do the blink. Don't attack in. But I think he's going to. Okay, that one Stalker says, yep, that's a Siege Tank. Looks like the Protoss player is going to try and get AlphaStar's command center. Looks like it's a kill. That's a nice bit of damage. However, Banshee moving on in towards the natural once again. Going to be getting some damage of its own probably pretty soon. More Stalkers are being warped in for this Protoss player. This is just kind of suicidal, dare I say, the fact that he'd try this. Is he going to blink up the ramp on top of those tanks? I mean, they're kind of exposed, but it's such a risky play. Back at home, also taking damage to this Banshee. AlphaStar, such a pain. Another Banshee is going to move out. Looks like a single Stalker and an Observer gets recalled in order to help deal with this Banshee. This Protoss player, I mean, he was thinking of blinking up there. That would have been a bit risky. But so far, it's looking still pretty darn good for AlphaStar. The supply does not lie, 110 to 77. The Stalker's cleaning up Banshees. The Protoss player's doing an alright job of it. But he's lost a lot of probes this game, 16 in all. The Marines moving out for AlphaStar, going to be working away on this. The Stalkers could potentially catch these Marines, as they don't have stim or anything yet. This could actually be a mistake from AlphaStar. There's one Marauder. The Stalkers, if microed correctly, can deal with these Marines, but they're actually not being microed too correctly. Then they walk into a Siege Tank shot. So the Protoss player not taking the best engagement that he could here. I mean, he still will be able to kill off all these Marines, most likely, losing probably a few Stalkers, probably a few more than he should have. But still, that's going all right for him. helping clean those units out. But the problem for the Protoss really is no third base yet. Nothing else really redeeming him in this game, and AlphaStar is just going to do what AlphaStar does. Make a bunch of siege tanks while simultaneously making a ton of Banshees to harass you. And now these aren't just your regular Banshees, these are your speedy Banshees, as they got gas, and this Banshee gonna start working away on that third base. The Protoss player might want to try and blink on in here, but that would be considered a bad move. A recall is going to be used to come in and help save this third base. A good decision, I think, but this is still such a tough spot for the Masters Protosses. Look at that, AlphaStar even just knows that the Banshee's going to be in trouble and pulls back. Such a big-brained IQ AI, and now a third base is landed at the third base location. The tanks are resetting on up in order to help cover this. 2-2 is on the way for the Terran player. Psystorm, Immortals, a third Nexus are all on the way for the Masters Protoss, so that is good tech to see. We've seen AlphaStar stormed into oblivion once or twice before. But still, this is looking pretty good for the Protoss players. 3 Banshees are going to move across to the main base, and these probes are going to have themselves a bad time. That 1 shield battery, not enough to compete with 3 Banshees. So hopefully a recall is ready for the Protoss, but it is not. And that's going to be a bad time once these Banshees start going to work. Oh boy, it's a sad day for probes. Okay, probes starting to get massacred here by AlphaStar. These Banshees just causing so much damage. This is just not pretty. This is just death by 1,000 cuts for the Protoss player. And by that I mean death by a ton of Banshees that are just kind of bopping you. The Stalkers will blink underneath the Banshees. They're quick, but not quite quick enough, although apparently quick enough as the Observer can't keep up. And now they're going to go to work at the natural base of the Protoss. So this is just a straight up bad time for the Protoss player. Looks like he might get that one. Nope. Still having himself a tough go of it. The Banshees will jettison on out of there, but right now we're looking at a Terran who's heading to 2-2, has a ton of siege tanks, a ton of bio too. And there's not a lot going for the Masters Protoss. There's the potential of Psystorm if he researches it at his Templar archives. But other than that, there's really nothing that's going well for the Masters Protoss. A ton of Stim Marines are out on the map. They may be baited into stimming. And there's the Stim. The Stalker is going to blink away. So that's a nice move for the Protoss player, forcing a stim out of those Marines, taking away a lot of their HP. The Protoss player going to have to react and get on top of these Marines now, though, as they're just going to stim on in towards the third base. The Zealot and Immortal are going to do what they can against it. These Marines will be getting cleaned on up, so that's a nice move for the Protoss player. I guess a nice catch there, being able to shut down those Marines, but still, AlphaStar remains up on supply by a very high amount. And the siege tanks alone just pose such a big problem. AlphaStar getting its siege tanks out of that main base. Now with a ton of tanks, with a ton of Marines too. You're going to have to be careful. Stalkers moving up this ramp. They may be able to get a tank or something. Looks like they get 1 tank and get out. Nice move from the Protoss player. He seems to have good ideas when it comes to moving his units, but it seems every time he makes a right move, there's a Banshee harassing him somewhere, giving him grief. And now AlphaStar is going to move out onto the map with a ton of Marines once again. The Stalkers are engaging them, but this Protoss player is busy, or should be busy, trying to deal with this Banshee, but it's just massacring probes. This is a sad day. Alright. This is just a straight up bad time here. I should have asked for a like for every single probe that died in this game. Currently we are up to 40. AlphaStar stims its Marines once again in order to pursue these Stalkers. But so far, this is just really, really tough for the Protoss player. I mean, it's 173 supply to 100. You Starcraft players, you Starcraft viewers don't need me to tell you that that doesn't bode well for the guy with the smaller number. It's pretty simple. You don't want to have the smaller number, and this Protoss has the smaller number. He's doing a good job moving out with all of his Stalkers and everything still. I mean, he's going to be getting up to +3 armor, so his Zealots are going to be very tanky. And he's even catching a couple of siege tanks here, which is nice, but he's got to be careful versus all those other tanks. Oh gosh, the Stalkers just get, like, eviscerated there. They're just gone, destroyed in seconds. Fortunately, the majority of them did escape. And they're still going to be given AlphaStar grief. So this Protoss player is doing a good job moving around with his units, but he does not want to attack into that many siege tanks. You cannot do that, my Protoss friend. As no matter how many Psi Storms you have, it doesn't matter. The High Templar will not reach those tanks. They will not make it in far enough to drop good Psi Storms on the army. He hits the Marines, but you don't want to keep going. You gotta pull back. I mean, the Protoss player is making a game out of this, that's for sure, getting good Psi Storms, but the problem is, there's just so many siege tanks for AlphaStar. It's 17 siege tanks, and no, don't do it. Don't go for it, Protoss friend. Oh, this is gonna be such a sad end if he attacks on in here, because I do not foresee the Protoss player winning an engagement against this many siege tanks. Liberators now being added into the mix. I think he's just gotta wait for his opponent to go for a move out and then try and intercept the army. That's got to be his best bet, as that's really the only thing I can think of. Stalkers individually dealing with the Marines, I mean, not bad at all for the Protoss player, just getting whatever he can, but the problem is the macro for AlphaStar is so insane. The Protoss player would have to just trade non-stop in order to get a victory here. And the problem is he's not cleaning out the siege tanks, no matter what happens. Medivac kind of derping there for AlphaStar. That Medivac does get away, though. Liberator production resuming, though, for the Terran player. Once AlphaStar is at max note, maybe he's going to move in, but no, don't do it, Protoss friend, don't do it. Don't do it, guy. There's too many tanks. There's too many Liberators. That's like Starcraft 101, don't attack into a bunch of tanks and Liberators, but by gosh, he's gonna do it, and it is not gonna be pretty. I mean, he lands okay Psi Storms, but his army is gonna melt here as, yeah, just AlphaStar with way too much. Totally annihilates that army, and the Masters Protoss player suddenly walks out with 3 Zealots, an Immortal, and a High Templar. The Templar is also gonna be getting chased down. He Psi Storms the Marines. He's going to get a few SCVs, but that was a big loss for the Protoss player. He's like, all right, doing what Protoss does best, and like when you lose a ton of units, you're just like, Zealots, I guess. Better remax as quick as possible. But all jokes aside, I think this is a slow death for the Protoss players. He's going to see how much Terran there is. Those Zealots not going to stand a chance against the tanks. The beautiful AlphaStar tank flower showing its face once again. Those Stalkers having themselves a bad time, and this Protoss player is trying to get up a 4th base. I mean, if he maxes out, I'd say there's a chance. And AlphaStar isn't known for its killer's instinct, but I mean, he just threw away so much supply, so it's gonna be a long shot for him to remax quick enough in order to build up versus this. Yeah. All right. We wait. We wait. As AlphaStar currently, wait, did it just shoot one of its own things? Okay. It's killing its own buildings to try and get out. AlphaStar trapping its own units. A bit of a derp. Liberators in mass moving out. Gonna fly over these pylons. The Protoss player should identify that these are coming his way. But yeah, we're just waiting. Easy commentary because not a lot is happening this game so far. Okay, we take a look here. Liberator is gonna be flying on in. Is AlphaStar gonna move out? Is AlphaStar gonna go for the big old push again? Looks like that's going to be the case. Terran player, or the Protoss player, remaxed a little bit, but the supply is still definitely not in his favor. And don't do it! Don't attack into the tanks again! You gotta stop doing this, Protoss guy. I'd say you have a chance if you didn't keep attacking into all these siege tanks. Starcraft 101. Don't attack all the tanks. It's a bad idea. AlphaStar, I mean, or the Protoss player, I mean, just has to attack in another location to pull AlphaStar out of position, or wait for AlphaStar to unsiege and move out before he dives on top of this, before he makes an attempt. For starters, I think maxing out would be a good idea. This is an odd spot to be in as a Starcraft player, no doubt. You're not used to a Terran playing like this. But that doesn't mean you can attack into the siege tanks. Protoss army going to be retreating once again. The tanks are still sieged up. If he can fight just the bio, then he'll be in a fine spot. But he cannot attack into all those siege tanks. And, oh, he could be getting baited here a little bit. Psystorm's dropping down. The tank gets picked off. Protoss army has to be careful and not move in there. Another nice Psystorm lands, though. So he's getting good Psystorms off. AlphaStar now even adding ghosts into its composition. I don't know if I've seen AlphaStar really make ghosts before. That's kind of cool to see. AlphaStar builds a ghost. That's really neat. I don't know if I've ever cast a game which AlphaStar actually made a ghost. Particularly not a TVP, maybe a TVZ, but I don't think AlphaStar has ever made a ghost to my knowledge. That's really cool to see. Now we take a look. AlphaStar, though, just securing bases for days, building sensor towers for days. Zealot's going to be counterattacking here towards the third base. That's a nice move. The Protoss player still building up in supply. AlphaStar is maxed out. I mean, the Protoss player, if he reaches maxed out supply, just gets like a ton of charge, lots of Archons. I think he can definitely take a fight and potentially win the game here, but I think his patience is not there as he keeps trying to push on into all these siege tanks. And you just gotta wait for your opponent to move out, or you gotta hit another location. He had a good Zealot counter harassment to this location. I think he should go in with his whole army or something. For now, though, there's ghosts for AlphaStar. We're gonna see how good the EMPs are from the Terran AI, so that could potentially be something really cool for us to see. Siege tanks rolling on out for AlphaStar. The problem is there's so many, it is tough to engage no matter what if you are the Protoss, but I think something like now would be his perfect moment, but of course it's tough to know. So maybe he's going to go for it. Not all those tanks are sieged up. AlphaStar going to move its army to look for a good fight. Eating tank shots, though, as that goes on. It's like Zealot harassment going on at some of these bases. Oh, there's AlphaStar moving forward, unsieged. This could be the Protoss's moment, but no, he's not realizing it, and he's not pouncing on top. He's just going to eat all the siege tank shots, and oh, he's got to back out, but that could have been his moment, I feel. Ghosts are also landing EMP on top of the Protoss army. Zealots are going for nice counterattacks, so the Liberator placement for AlphaStar is nice, realizing that one Liberator will end most Zealot harassment. Carriers are now on the way for the Protoss player. This is an interesting choice to go for this. AlphaStar, though, is making a lot of Marines, has Vikings as well, and Liberators, so I don't know if these carriers are really gonna come to their full effect here. Stalkers blink on top of the siege tanks and are immediately evaporated. Even Mighty Immortals can't stand up against it, and the Protoss player ends up GG in there as AlphaStar is the victor. Just closes it out. There was hope for that Masters Protoss player, but he just wasn't sure what to do against this kind of unit composition. It's easy for me to say as the observer, sitting up in the clouds watching the game from afar, but yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed AlphaStar making a ghost and facing a Max PAX, make sure to press like on this video. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. I put out StarCraft 2 content pretty much every single day. Check out the Discord if you aren't in it. We have a fun time in there, posting tournament updates and random memes and stuff and whatnot. And of course, feel free to check out memberships. Obviously not completely optional there. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.